They did, Leslie, and we're going to get to those fairly interesting developments in a minute. But first, let's talk about some of these new federal charges we learned about just this afternoon.
Included in the new round of federal charges announced Friday, a West Virginia lawmaker, newly elected state delegate Derrick Evans, who allegedly filmed himself and supporters of President Trump storming the U.S. Capitol, now charged with entering a restricted area. An Alabama man faces serious guns and weapons charges after U.S. Capitol Police found 11 Molotov cocktails and a cache of guns, including an assault rifle, stashed in his pickup. Finally, Richard Barnett of Arkansas, arrested in his home state Friday. Barnett now charged with 3 counts, including violent entry and disorderly conduct, for violently entering Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office and stealing some of her mail. As for President Donald Trump, after initially suggesting the president could be investigated for inciting a riot after seemingly egging on the crowd before they marched to the Capitol, Friday, acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Michael Sherwin, seemingly backed off that stance, saying, quote, "We don't expect any charges of that nature."
By the way, a couple Maryland men also facing federal charges we learned today, one for assaulting and punching a U.S. Capitol police officer, another for not only walking into the Capitol, but doing it with a 9mm handgun. As for the death of U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, the U.S. Attorney's Office would not discuss the investigation, which is being done jointly by the FBI and MPD. But the U.S. Attorney did say, look, in a case like this, federal murder charges carrying the possibility of life in prison or the death sentence, always a possibility in a case like this. Reporting live from the Capitol tonight, Eric Fleck, WUSA 9.
It's a lot, it's heavy, and this is all just getting started, Eric, as you talked about. You know, there is an FBI tip line that people can call. It's 1-800-CALL-FBI if you witness the crimes, if there's information that you can share. There is also an online tip center, fbi.gov/US Capitol. You can upload photos and tell them what you saw.